A racist tourist's arrogance takes a shocking turn when he slaps a black royal guard, thinking there'd be no consequences. What unfolds next changes everything. Watch how justice is served and let us know where you're tuning in from. It was a sunny afternoon in Charleston, South Carolina, and the historic district was buzzing with tourists. The cobblestone streets echoed with the sounds of horse-drawn carriages, cameras clicking, and laughter from street performers entertaining the crowds. Among the attractions stood the imposing gates of the governor's mansion, guarded by 2 royal guards dressed in ceremonial uniforms. Their stoic expressions and disciplined posture made them a favorite photo opportunity for visitors. One of these guards was Marcus Bennett. Marcus wasn't just any guard, he was a symbol of dignity, discipline, and unwavering pride. Every day, he donned his crimson coat, tall black hat, and gleaming boots, standing tall in the scorching sun, no matter how many gawking tourists surrounded him. Marcus had learned to block out the occasional rude comment or childish attempt to provoke him. It came with the territory, but today was different. Today would test him in ways he never expected. In the crowd, a man named Todd stood out. Todd was a tourist from out of state, and his loud, brash behavior had already made several people uncomfortable. He was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, khaki shorts, and an air of entitlement that couldn't be ignored. Todd's voice boomed as he laughed with his group of friends, pointing at the guards and mocking their seriousness. "Look at this guy," Todd said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "standing there like a statue. Bet he thinks he's better than us." Marcus didn't flinch. He kept his eyes forward, his expression unchanging, just as he had been trained to do. But Todd wasn't satisfied with being ignored. He strutted closer, his flip-flops slapping against the pavement. "Hey, you!" "Yeah, I'm talking to you," Todd said, waving his hand in Marcus's face. "What's the matter? Can't speak? Or are you just too good to talk to me?" The crowd began to quiet, sensing the tension. Some pulled out their phones, ready to record. Marcus remained still, his focus unwavering. But Todd's behavior only escalated. Frustrated by Marcus's lack of reaction, Todd smirked and took a step closer. "You think you're tough, huh?" Todd sneered. Without warning, he slapped Marcus across the face. The crowd gasped in shock, a ripple of disbelief spreading through the onlookers. Marcus's head barely moved, but the sound of the slap echoed loudly. For a brief moment, the world seemed to stand still. All eyes were on Marcus, waiting to see what he would do. But Marcus didn't react the way Todd expected. He didn't yell, retaliate, or even break his posture. Instead, Marcus turned his head back to its original position, his expression as calm and composed as ever. His restraint spoke volumes, a silent reminder of his strength and professionalism. Todd's smirk faltered as the weight of his actions began to settle in. The crowd wasn't laughing anymore. Instead, murmurs of anger and disapproval filled the air. "What's wrong with you, man?" someone shouted from the crowd. But Todd wasn't done. "What? You can't take a joke? It's just a slap. You're acting like I hurt you or something." His voice, once full of mockery, now carried a defensive edge. Marcus finally moved, but it wasn't what Todd expected. With the slow, deliberate precision of someone who knew his authority, Marcus stepped forward and raised his hand, not to strike back but to signal a nearby officer who had been monitoring the crowd. The officer immediately stepped in, his expression serious as he assessed the situation. Todd's arrogance turned to nervousness as the officer approached. "Wait, I didn't mean anything by it," he stammered. "It was just a joke." The officer wasn't having it. "Sir, step aside," he said firmly. "We're going to need to have a conversation about what just happened." The first part of this story ends here, but what unfolds next will leave everyone stunned. The tables are about to turn, and Todd will learn that actions have consequences. As Todd stood there, his confidence evaporating, the crowd grew larger. Whispers of disapproval filled the air as the officer escorted Todd a few steps away from Marcus. Meanwhile, Marcus remained in his position, stoic as ever, his presence commanding respect. The dignity he displayed in the face of blatant disrespect left an impression on everyone watching. Todd tried to justify himself. "Look, I wasn't trying to hurt anyone." he said, his tone desperate. "It was just a joke. Lighten the mood." The officer didn't budge. "A joke?" he replied, his tone sharp. "You assaulted a royal guard on duty in front of dozens of witnesses. That's no joke, sir. You need to understand the seriousness of your actions." Todd's bravado was gone now, replaced with panic. "Come on, I didn't know he'd take it so seriously. Can't we just forget about this?" But there would be no forgetting. The officer calmly explained the consequences Todd could face. A charge for assaulting a government employee and public disorder. Todd's friends, who had been laughing earlier, now distanced themselves, embarrassed by his behavior. Back at his post, Marcus continued to stand tall, his expression unchanged. A few members of the crowd approached him cautiously, expressing their support and admiration. "Thank you for handling that with such grace," one woman said, her voice filled with respect. "You didn't deserve that." Marcus offered a subtle nod in acknowledgement, his professionalism never wavering. But inside, he felt a sense of pride. Not for himself, but for the example he had set. He knew the world was watching, and he had shown them that dignity could overpower ignorance. Meanwhile, Todd's situation was worsening. The officer informed him that he would need to accompany them to the station for further questioning. Todd begged for leniency, but the damage had already been done. The videos captured by the crowd were already spreading on social media, and within minutes, the incident was trending. By the time Todd was taken to the station, the public outrage was palpable. News outlets picked up the story, and hashtags like #Justice for Marcus and #RespectOurGuards began to dominate online discussions. People from all walks of life expressed their anger at Todd's actions and their admiration for Marcus's composure. But Marcus wasn't interested in the fame or attention. Later that evening, after his shift ended, he quietly left the governor's mansion and walked home. His phone buzzed nonstop with messages of support, but he didn't let it distract him. For Marcus, this wasn't about revenge or publicity. It was about standing up for what was right without losing his integrity. At the same time, Todd's life was unraveling. The viral videos had reached his workplace, and his employer issued a public statement condemning his behavior. Todd was suspended, pending an internal review. His reputation was in shambles, and he became a symbol of the consequences of unchecked arrogance. In the days that followed, Marcus was invited to interviews and community events, but he remained humble. When asked how he managed to stay calm in the face of such disrespect, his answer was simple. "Respect is something I carry within me. No one can take that away." Marcus's words resonated far and wide, sparking conversations about respect, prejudice, and accountability. Todd, on the other hand, issued a public apology, but the damage to his reputation was already done. The incident became a powerful reminder that dignity and restraint are not signs of weakness, but of incredible strength. And Marcus, he went back to his post, standing tall and proud, knowing that he had not only protected his honor but inspired countless others to rise above hate.